Hi, welcome to Virgo Lunar Eclipse. We haven't had an outdoor reading in forever. So after all that horrible, relentless flooding, suddenly the world is like, yes, it's spring actually. I've changed my mind. Yeah, it's suddenly like 19 degrees. Virgo Lunar Eclipse is tomorrow in the Northern Hemisphere. And so what I'm going to do is pull out the Sun and the Moon card, because you know it's when the Sun and the Moon are in opposition to one another, opposing forces, and then the Earth casts a shadow over the Moon. There's me casting the shadow over the Moon. But yeah, it's a opposition between the Sun in Pisces and the Moon in Virgo. And so we're pulling out the Moon and the Sun card, and I'm going to pull from the Unfolding Path. And I'm going to put a card in the middle, then one on top of the Sun and one on top of the Moon to start us off. Just because I thought it would be kind of fun to do it like that. So there's like an opposition between our yin and our yang energies. So our Sun is like our more extrovert yang energy, like our more masculine kind of energy. And our yin energy is our more reflective, introspective, moony, feminine energy. Our Sun is like the vitality as well. It's like energy giving. It's like shining a light out there, like giving off energy. And the moon only relies upon reflection of the Sun, so it's a receptive energy. Interestingly, the card that has fallen in between the Sun and the Moon is the Ten of Wands. Burden, frustration and burden, and you know she's carrying this huge bag. She's like hauling it up these stairs. She's just desperately trying to ascend. She's trying to get places. And our Wands cards are like our spirited kind of inspiration. They're often our creativity, our vitality. They're our fire, our passion, our inspiration. And so yeah, she's trying to ascend in that vibe, but she's just overburdened. It's a slog, it's a haul. And so that's the overall sort of energy with this lunar eclipse the tarot is declaring. And you know, when there's an opposition, it can be, you know, friction, tension, that can manifest as burden. And on top of the Sun, we get the World, and on top of the Moon, we get the Chariot, and then we've also got the Knight, who is just going to sit there. So the World it's got all of our fixed signs around the edge. The World card is actually associated with Saturn, and which is a very yang sign. It rules the 10th house of the zodiac chart, which is considered a very masculine area. It's our often our external reputation or our career, and how others perceive us, how we show up in the world. And it can also be to do with wholeness and completion. Saturn can be about restriction but it can also be about wholeness and this kind of mastery of like wholeness, completion. And then we have the Chariot on top of the moon, and interestingly the Chariot card is representative of Cancer, a water sign, and Cancer's ruling planet is the moon. So we've got a very yang card on top of our yang sun, and a very yin card on top of our yin card of the moon. I've actually got the 10th house is opposite the 4th house on like the zodiac wheel. On like, if you look at a birth chart, your 10th house will be opposing your 4th house, and the 10th house is ruled by Saturn and Capricorn, and the 4th house is ruled by Cancer. So that's actually really interesting. So there might be a tense conflict and burden between your external reputation, maybe your career path and how you're showing up there, and the demands that are being put upon you there, and your internal world, your private life, your home space, your roots, your inner structure. So we've got your outer structure, inner structure, sort of polarization. But the Chariot card, I was saying, it is, I've heard it spoken about today as that the Chariot is kind of like a gypsy wagon. And back when the tarot was kind of created, that is kind of who was using tarot cards, like your Romany travellers, and their home travelled around with them, and they took their home everywhere with them, which was like a chariot, a wagon. And you know, moonstone, this is my own thoughts as well, the crystal moonstone is often given to people to give them, you know, safe travel and protect them during travel, and sort of take a piece of home with them as they travel. And it's like maybe a link to how actually Cancerians kind of take a piece of home with them wherever they go, and how they always have a sense of homeliness even when they're moving around. You know, does that home have to be static? And the Chariot does also represent this balance, pulling in two different directions, but it's like having a balanced sense of your inner world and finding balance in your ability to nurture yourself and create spaces that feel like home, to make you feel secure, which is quite interesting. But I'd say there's a definite opposition between your inner world and outer world, a conflict, and it might be causing you a lot of burden and tension. You may be feeling like an extreme pressure under this. It might be really like stifling your creativity, stifling your inspiration. You might be feeling like you very much want to retreat into your own world and want to create, or to be sort of more recognized in your public life for your creative abilities, for your inspiration that you give out. And maybe you're feeling like you're not really being not being and receiving the right recognition. There's a lot of pressure for you maybe to perform and show up, but you're not feeling the recognition of you doing that, which is maybe making you want to retreat into your private world and do some work there to alleviate this burden here. Not work as in literally working. For some of you might want to literally be doing work at home, but doing, you know, creative things at home, like your personal interests, things that inspire you in this quite reclusive way from home, this private way instead of this very public way. You might be feeling a real sense that you need to retreat into your safe space in order to nurture you. And I think it's sort of advising that if you're having like a creative block or overburden, then that is maybe something that you might want to be doing, but you have got to keep showing up. So there's this point of tension. And the card we have at the bottom is the Knight of Swords, who is swift. I mean, he's doing a cheeky wink here as well. He's like, I'm so swift. Yeah, he's clear-minded, and this might be someone or something kind of charging in to help you find some clarity, or stepping in to your own mindset and saying, hey, I need to find some clarity. I really need to focus on X, Y, Z at the moment and release and cut away with my big sword some of this burden baggage. You might need to, you know, reduce your load emotionally and physically. This Knight might, you know, be there sending you messages, or you might start receiving those messages about what it is you actually need to release yourself from, and what it is that is really overburdening you and you just can't pull it up those stairs. Where do you need to cut back and make some changes to lighten your load? What was the card flipped over in here? It's the Empress. The Empress is associated with the planet Venus, which is very much about luxury, creativity, and you know, she's very pregnant on this card. She's full. There's this fullness and this wholeness of this sort of blossoming of creativity, and this sort of Venus is about luxury and pleasures, and so you might be getting some messages about what it is you need to cut back on in order to find more pleasure, and cutting away the things that are just causing you burden, so that you can focus more on what truly brings you pleasure. We also have the Two of Swords, card of indecision, and with this polarization there will be this kind of battle of this way, that way, but as she's got one pointing up and one pointing down, there's a need to kind of integrate as well, and integrate and find your center, this sort of as above as below, and alchemize what is it I want to create for myself with that Empress I need clarity about what it is I want to create for myself that truly brings me pleasure. Find out what I need to cut away and what I want to hold on to. And then really like integrate your internal landscape. We also have some more cards flipped over. The Knight of Cups. We have obviously the Sun in Pisces, and our cups are very representative of our water signs. We also have Mercury retrograde in Pisces at the moment as well. And we have the King of Wands, our fiery king. So we need to, and I'm putting that on the sun side, and I'm putting the Knight on the moon, the yin side. Because our water energies are very more rather yin, and our fire energies are very much more rather yang. And so there's a need to sort of balance and integrate our need for self-compassion and self-nurture and self-love, and also our where we want to really show up and dazzle. And maybe we just need to cut back a bit and be kind to ourselves and give ourselves some nurture, so that we then can come back to the world and really shine our brightest with our biggest, and come back with flair, with a renewed excitement after having a break. But this Mercury retrograde, and I feel this card is very like as above, so below, quite a kind of, our swords are our air sign cards, and Mercury is very associated with air because it is the messenger, and air signs are very communicative, particularly Gemini. And Gemini has this very sort of dual-naturedness, and it can exist with two opposing forces and two ideologies within one soul, and it's quite good at balancing these sort of double energies, this kind of ambidextrousness. But there's a need to stop, reassess and cut back so that we can return to the world with flair. We need to really give ourselves a pause to go into our internal landscape and be honest with ourselves about what truly brings us pleasure and what just needs to be released. Where do we just need to cut back on certain things so that we can return to the world with our flair? And we have the Nine of Pentacles. Growth, structure, abundance, real life, commitment, and looking around being like, I'm really pleased with where I've gotten to. I'm really pleased with all I've accumulated. I've worked hard, I've come a long way, and I'm doing all right, and finding stability in that and pleasure in that. And that's where we want to kind of move towards. And so it's nice that that has come up. I'm also going to take one from the Lunar Tarot, because it's going to be a full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse. So we're going to get moony. And we get the Tower. So the Tower is associated with Mars, can also be associated with Uranus as well. but release we've got written on the card. And these eclipses are very much about sort of pausing and releasing and letting go, eclipsing things out and realizing what it is we need to let go of and eclipse out of our lives. And you know, it's about the destructuring. It's about change. It can be sudden, radical change, shocking change. And you know, Mars is the god of war, and Uranus is a planet of sudden change and sort of rebellion. And so it's about a restructuring. A restructuring through release and allowing the old systems and structures to collapse, often quite suddenly and shockingly. And eclipses can bring about sudden, shocking revelations and changes. So that's quite interesting. We have on the 20th got the spring equinox, so I am bashing out the Ostara Oracle from the Seasons of the Witch to close. So it's a good time also, I'm just going to clarify, to pause and take a breath, take a beat, and have this reassessment, restructure of what we need to release, because it might be quite sudden. It can be shocking and sudden revelations about, you know, what just needs to go and where you can go no further with something. And so this need to pause to sort of absorb the shock of that. Woo! Okay, that one has flown all the way over there on its own to make me fight for it, make me work for it, going all the way over there. And we have terrarium. So it's like a little terrain inside its own little bottle. It's those foundations weaved with mindfulness that will long sustain you. And this terranium, so it's like a terrain within a bottle, like a little universium. I used to do this with like insects when I was a kid. Like I used to get these massive. I used to go down to the corner shop and ask them for the old sweet tubs that they used to sell sweets in, because they were really big, and then put like air holes in, and then build an environment inside there, and like put like a butterfly or like a snail or a grasshopper or something in there, and just like observe it for a bit, or like just some little bugs. It is those foundations weaved with mindfulness that will long sustain you. So it's like about creating your own little world, and I was talking about having this retreat into your own personal world, your private life, and you know, restructuring ourselves internally so that then we can come back to the external world with flair. And we have got the world card on the table, and the chariot, sort of like creating your own and nurturing your own internal world, like to make things feel like home, like create a world that feels safe and comfortable for you. But it might come about in like quite a radical, sudden way, and it's going to completely, you know, restructure us. It says weaved with mindfulness. peace that will long sustain you. And you know, the fourth house and our internal world, and it's very about our roots, about our foundations, about our core of our internal world. And so it's about working from the inside out, and like this as above so below that we had on the Two of Swords is like understanding that if we can change our inner world, we can also change our outer world, and how working with and recreating our inner world can help us shape and recreate our outer world, and how we can therefore balance the two and show up in both. And the butterflies, they are symbols of transformation as well. And we have these two little butterflies here, and one is within the vessel and the other is flying out of the vessel. And so there's very much this inner, outer version of you, inner version of you, and needing to like heal and restructure what's going on within, so that then we can like show up and transform and step into our new external version of ourselves as well. So there's a lot here about reshaping our foundations so that we can forge a new path and create a new path in our external world also. And that is the reading, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and also go and check out my Virgo Lunar Eclipse class, yoga class. It's also got a Virgo Lunar Eclipse guided meditation on the end of there as well. So you can also go and check those out as well as this reading. And thank you to all you new subscribers and you returning viewers. And have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope it's nice and sunny where you are also.